Apologies.
None, all members present, convener.
Thank you. And declarations of interest. And may I remind members to send in their declarations ASAP. I'll start. I have one just before Christmas. I did visit Men's Shed. It was just a courtesy visit with other elected members. And I did receive a phone call to find out like where we were with this cat, but I made no comment right to that. So I will be taking part in the discussion.
Convener, we have Councillor Moore, Devine and Duff all indicating that they wish to. I think I may make a declaration of interest at this point.
Moore, Devine and Duff. Okay, can we start with Councillor Moore, please? I'm not hearing Councillor Moore.
Team report 150/20. Also the men.
He sounds like a Martian to me, Donald.
It's Councillor Moore.
Presenting at that time. I made no declaration of opinion and therefore
Convener, could we move on to Councillors Devine and Duff and then Councillor Wan and then see if Councillor Moore can come back in, because I'm not sure his declaration was clear to all members present.
Okay, can we go to Councillor Devine?
Thanks, convener. It's item number 6, report 143/20. I am a council appointed member of the Angus Alive board. I'll be taking part in the discussion.
Thank you, Councillor Devine. Councillor Duff?
Exactly the same, item 6, council appointed director, no financial interest and will participate. I also declare an interest in 14, but that's now been taken off the agenda.
That's lovely. Thank you, Councillor Duff. Councillor Wan?
Yeah, likewise with yourself, Leader. I visited the men's shed but gave no opinion in the category. The cat was never discussed anyway. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Wan. Okay, right, we can move on and perhaps right, we can hear the deputation from Mr. Sinclair. And Mr. Sinclair has 10 minutes. Can I remind members, please, that there will only be questions only, and right afterwards, no comments at this stage, please.
Convener, before we allow the deputations to be permitted into the meeting by the IT host, there have been 4 names as part of the deputation. 2 have indicated that they are speaking. That is a Mr. George Sinclair, as you've intimated, Chair. There's also Mr. Steve Charlton, who is the Treasurer. 2 other names are associated with the deputation: Jason Schroeder and Dennis Divers. All but Dennis Divers have given their acceptance that the meeting be recorded. So I would ask IT, the host, to allow Mr. Sinclair, Mr. Charlton and Mr. Schroeder in, but I have not received any confirmation from Mr. Divers. So I would suggest, convener, that in the absence of anything from that individual, that we cannot allow that individual to enter the meeting and have them recorded.
That's unfortunate. Okay, right, I think we'll have to go with that. Jason, what was Jason's surname?
It's Schroeder, S-H-R-O-E-D-E-R, convener.
Okay, hopefully I get that right. That's lovely. Okay, is it Mr. Sinclair wishes to start?
Convener, sorry to interrupt you. I think we need to be clear on Councillor Moore's declaration of interest, and we couldn't hear it properly. And I would suggest that if we can't hear him again, it may be appropriate for him to call in, because I understand IT have set that option up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can we try again from Councillor Moore? The joys of technology. Councillor Moore going to try and phone in?
Can I check with Mr. Leslie that he can facilitate that, please? Thank you.
That's fine, thanks, Jackie.
Yeah, you should be able to phone in the numbers.
Can someone assist him with that, or please, so we can hear from him?
Sorry, Jackie, I'm not sure I can do anything here, to be honest.
What's the advice here, Jackie?
If you bear with me, I'm sorry about the delay. I understood there was a process for this, but what I'll do now, Chair, is I myself will phone Councillor Moore and get him set up. I'm presuming he's not available at the moment in any event, so I would suggest that we proceed at the moment and then hear from him in terms of his interest.
Okay, just proceed with the meeting.
Sorry, we've got somebody joining by phone. Are you happy for me to admit them?
Could we establish, Steve, as to who that individual is before they're
No.
allowed into the meeting?
I only have a phone number, but if you can let me know their phone number, I could verify that.
Steve, can you give me the last 3 numbers, please?
327.
Yep, that's correct.
Hello.
Is that Councillor
Hello.
Moore?
Hello, Councillor Moore.
Hi, David.
Can you say your declaration of interest again, please, Councillor Moore?
Sorry.
Can you repeat your
Say it
declaration
again.
of interest?
You're breaking up on me badly.
Looks like we've still got a problem, folks.
Councillor Moore, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Can you please
I'm trying.
clarify what your declaration of interest is, please?
Yes, on item 13, report 150/20, that I was invited to visit and they showed me round, but I did not express an opinion, so I will take part.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we continue the meeting with the deputation, Mr. Sinclair. 10 minutes for Mr. Sinclair.
Mr. Sinclair was not in the lobby.
And the joys today. When we go to the next one,
Mr. Charlton, convener.
right? Mr. Charlton, would you like to speak, Mr. Charlton?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, can. Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Steve, you've got 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, I was expecting the chairman, George Sinclair, to be opening for us.
Just have got lost in space.
Yeah.
Would you like to start, Steve?
Well, you know, we've been at the business centre on Dens Road for 18 months, and the rent is 6,000 per year, which is reduced from 8,000 because we're an established charity. But that sort of rent is not sustainable, even in the short term. And we would offer their £500 per year rent, and which is contained in the CAT application. We've done a lot of good work for the community, and we just hope that Angus Council and elected members would agree with us. Apart from that, you know, we've been offered a reduction to, I think it's 2,850, which is not really in the spirit of the CAT application. It's just a rent reduction, yeah. We do look after the car park, the premises. We have done some. We've installed insulation. We've kept the weeds at bay in the car park. Some of the drains into the Brothick burn have been cleared by us. Apart from that, you know, there's not much more I could say, really.
Okay, Steve. Thanks very much. Is Mr. Sinclair been able to come back in?
Okay, guys, good afternoon. Sorry about all the confusion. It wasn't clear at all how to proceed. Okay, I'm going to try and keep this short given the current circumstances, because I know you guys must all be very busy. Okay, most of our elected representatives have visited the men's shed on at least one occasion, and everyone that's done so has expressed support and encouragement. So I really don't propose to bang on about our good deeds in the community. I'll be happy to answer any questions on that subject. The Scottish Government have debated the value of the men's shed movement on several occasions, and in each case the value has been acknowledged. I'll share with you one quote from Alec Neil, Cabinet Secretary, on the 4th of June 2016, which kind of sums things up. Older people are an asset to Scotland, and we want them to flourish in our communities and continue to make a contribution. We are delighted to be working in partnership with Age Scotland to help the network of men's sheds develop across Scotland. The First Minister is on record saying that she considers wellness to be in importance to GDP in Scotland. And if you Google Scottish Government men's shed, you'll find plenty of evidence to confirm the support of the Scottish Government. This is the time when we can translate these words into positive action. We understand that the Council has a continuing balancing act between fiscal and community responsibilities. This community asset transfer is an opportunity to do just that. Before I discuss the rationale behind our application, I would like to make something quite clear. The men's shed is not a bunch of old guys making crafty knickknacks for sale. Our primary objective is to ensure and improve the physical and mental health of our members. We achieve this partly by getting our members involved in local projects, and this sets off a very positive ripple effect around the community. Families of members benefits when the old guy has a purpose that keeps them out of the pub and or away from daytime TV. Improved health for the members reduces the strain that may otherwise occur to the NHS and social services, and the projects we've taken on for schools, like an outdoor theatre or a chicken coop for one of the schools, they reduce costs. In the absence of our help, these projects would be an additional strain on the educational budget and would have to be abandoned. The men's shed is not profit making. Our only sources of income are subscriptions and the surplus from our coffee fund. There are no paid officials and all our work is voluntary. We recycle everything like wobbles and steroids. Broken up pallets are resurrected as planters, old bits of log become bowls, and the offcuts are burnt in a wood burning stove. Bigger offcuts are chopped up and used for kindling by members and whoever needs them. We are actively concerned with our carbon footprint. Walls have been insulated and energy consumption is kept at a minimum. Okay, getting on to direct benefits for the council. Scottish Men's Sheds Association tells us that the council is to pay rates to central government for empty premises, but when these premises are occupied by a charity like ours, the rate payments do not apply. We're currently short of space, and you can save yourself a bit of money by including units 12 and 13 in the application. We could probably get back to that another time. We maintain the property. The day we moved in on the 20th of November 2018, we find the premises flooded by an ingress of rain in one of the other units on the same level of ours, and we assisted with the clean-up. During this exercise, we noted that the external land drains were blocked. We took this on, cleared them out, and cut back the vegetation on the banks of the Brothick burn that was causing the blockage. Prior to this occupation, any heavy rain event had the potential to flood the whole ground floor with consequent costly damage. This is an ongoing maintenance issue which we will monitor and act accordingly. Although we don't accept that external maintenance is our responsibility. We're also discussing the idea of installing a graduated level gauge in the burn outside the premises to allow us to monitor and record variations in the height of the water over time. This we feel would give early warning indications of potential problems both upstream and downstream from the location. Our objectives in applying for the community asset transfer are to ensure a manageable rent and have a degree of security to allow expansion of the membership. Our offer of £500 per annum represents a 20 to 25% of our current total overhead budget, which is all we can afford. It's common for applications in Scotland to be granted a 25-year lease and a £1 annum rent. External sources for funding, like for instance the National Lottery, typically require a 5-year minimum lease. Technically, this puts some external funding beyond our grasp the day after the lease is signed, as we're talking about a 5-year lease. We understand that the council needs to maximise the potential income from premises like the business centre, both now and in the future. In the last 5 years, the actual income from the business centre has been disappointing, and we can only speculate that the economic situation we envisage as a result of the coronavirus will not encourage companies to make use of the space. Your documentation suggests an option with a 5-year lease with a 1-year opt-out clause for both parties. I suggest this opt-out clause makes the difference between 5 and 25 years irrelevant. If you have a good proposal for the disposal or development of the site, we only expect a bit of notice and your help to obtain other premises. Finally, if you have any confusion between cost and value, I refer you to a recent project of ours. A young father died unexpectedly, and it was suggested that we make a mud kitchen for the kids. The costs of this were minimal. Some sticks that were lying around, a bit of old paint residue, and a lot of love and caring. The value was evident on the faces of the kids when we delivered it. Do you want to put a number on that? Or tell me that the value isn't real? Thank you.
Can we thank George for that, please?
Thank you, Mr. Sinclair. I think everyone heard that loud and clear. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Go to questions here, Jackie, but I don't think Mr. Sinclair is going to be able to hear unless Mr. Charlton wishes to take any questions.
I think, Chair, Mr. Sinclair can hear. So
I can, yes, I confirm that.
Well, that's right. Super. Okay, I'll go to the members. Are there any questions to Mr. Sinclair?
No members are indicating that they wish to speak at this moment, convener.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. McCaskill. Councillor Wan has indicated.
Right up at the top. My apologies, convener. Councillor Wan.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you very much, George, for that introduction on exactly what the men's shed do. I agree with you. It's a fantastic initiative that you've got going down there. And I know about the Lady Loan hen coop that you did for them, which I think was great. That's me putting my convener education hat on, and I got an invite down to see the finished product. So thank you for that. Can I just ask you, George, if we were to agree option 3 today, does that give you any, I know you're saying about the 5-year lease, it takes out some of the funding opportunities and funding streams for you. Is it a huge disadvantage, option 3 for the 5 years lease?
The option 3 with a 5-year lease and a 1-year opt-out. Yeah, there is a difficulty with this. I covered in the talk that I gave, and that a 5-year lease is the minimum that we can look at with the idea of obtaining funds from external sources. And what difference does it make? If either of us are able to say, okay, we'll call it quits after a year, then what difference does the 5-year make?
So what you're basically saying is, if we agreed option 3 but changed it to a 25-year lease, but we still had the 12-month break period in it, that would help you significantly gain external funding, or at least give you a better opportunity to get external funding, yeah?
Absolutely, I can live with that.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions. Thanks.
Okay, any further questions?
Yes, Councillor Moore.
Councillor Moore.
Listening.
Councillor Moore.
I'm still listening. Does anybody want to speak to me?
Councillor Moore, what was a problem with his connection?
Modern technology, isn't it wonderful?
Is there anybody else wanted to speak, Jackie? Ask a question.
I can't see anyone else with a hand up, Chair.
Councillor Moore's microphone is unmuted, Chair, so he may be able to speak now.
Councillor Moore.
Do we have any potential members for the men's shed there?
Yeah, me.
Chair, Councillor Moore is no longer showing up in attendance at the meeting. He may well need to reconnect again using his phone line.
I'm kind of thinking about Councillor Fairweather and King, and maybe they could get in touch with the inner Chippendale. I mean the furniture manufacturer, not the entertainers.
Convener, could I just remind members and the deputation that it is questions to the deputation only?
Yeah, that's if we can get anybody to ask a question, Donald. I think we're going to have to move on.
Okay. I'm sorry. The next move would be what?
We'll discuss it now, George. So if you
Okay, great. Well, we'll just wait to hear from you, and good luck with the rest of the meeting. And I hope I haven't taken up too much of your time.
Thank you very much, George.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Okay. Can I suggest, all right, I'll just go on to the next part of the agenda, which is the minute. Right now, can I ask that we agree to take item 13 next, but the next part of the agenda, the minute of the previous meeting. Can we agree this is a correct record?
Members of the committee need to be unmuted to agree to that, unless they are able to give their tacit approval by just
give me the thumbs up. That'll be fine. We'll be here all day. Okay, we're all happy with the minutes. Okay, you can write. Is it agreed that right, we take item 13 next? Yeah. We hearing from anybody, Donald?
Councillor Wan has indicated that he wishes to speak, but I think he was indicating that he was happy that the item be brought forward to this part of the agenda.
I would suggest that's what he's done. What about the others, Donald?
Nobody is indicating that they wish to speak. Maybe just to get the clear approval from the committee, if IT host could unmute the members of the committee so they can give their express approval for this to happen.
Please.
You'll have to call them out, please, Donald.
Councillor Duff.
I'm happy to proceed to item 13. Yeah.
Councillor Devine.
Yes, I am.
Councillor Moore, if he's present. Councillor Macmillan Douglas.
Can I just say that my vision has gone? I'm only on voice. I have no problem with that, but it means I can't signal if I want to speak.
Councillor Macmillan Douglas, you use the facility of raise hand on the right-hand side of the Zoom, and I will be able to indicate to the convener you wish to speak.
Sadly, that has disappeared on my screen. But I think the convener knows probably when I want to speak. But just to let you know, I can't tell you if I need to speak because I have lost the hand.
Oh, we're having the joys today.
I think convener Councillor Salmon is the only other member of the committee who's yet to indicate whether he's happy for the item to be taken.
Yes, I'm happy to go to agenda item 13.
Okay. Thank you all. You've got the recommendations in front of you, so I'll just go to the committee now, and I'll ask. Are there any questions first of all? No questions?
Yes, if Councillor Wan and Duff have indicated that they wish to.
Okay, Councillor Wan first, followed by Councillor Duff.
Thank you, Leader. My question is more for Jackie, I think, on the legal side. I raised a question with George Sinclair during his deputation about would it cause the council or would it cause him any issues? But my question to you is now, would it cause the council any issues to do a 25-year lease but with a 12-month break, which, as he explained there, would be exactly the same as the 5-year, so we can give him 12 months notice if we do need to change our decisions on that, and that would help him with the funding. Does that cause an issue to the council?
Through yourself, Chair. Councillor Wan, can I just clarify, please, you mean a mutual 12-month break?
Yes, same as what's optioned, yeah.
Legally, that's competent, but I'd like to defer to Mr. Cochrane in terms of how that fits with the property estate. Mr. Cochrane will need to be unmuted to respond.
Thank you, convener. I think as set out in the report, the longer lease gives concerns in terms of the future development of the site, but clearly the 12-month break, if that means we can give notice and the men's shed move out, then that would overcome that.
Can I just notify that I would like to make an amendment to option 3 if possible, if we need to go down that route?
Okay, that's fine. Thanks, Councillor Warren.
Councillor Duff has indicated he wished to speak, convener.
Yeah, thanks. Councillor Duff.
Yeah, thanks, convener. Yeah, I did toy with asking this question to Mr. Sinclair, and I think if you have a 25-year lease with a 1-year break, on either side, I wouldn't have thought that would have given any comfort to a grant awarding body, because normally they want to see a clean lease for a significant period of time if they're, let's say, putting some capital into a project. Is that really a practical, realistic option? I think, and I'm rather reluctant to change the 3 recommendations that were on the paper. I think changing them at this point doesn't seem to me particularly sound. But that seems uncomfortable to me just listening to it.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Duff. Any further questions?
No other member I'm aware of.
Okay, can we go to comments, please? Any comments?
I'm not seeing any members raising their hands, convener.
Okay, well, I'll raise mine then. I have a few comments. Yes, I have visited Men's Shed. In fact, I got involved with Men's Shed at the very beginning when they were in hospital field, and they were in a tiny coal shed. But even then, there was something like 13, 14 members crammed in, trying to do good work and desperate to find bigger premises. And certainly without me, it did come about that they moved to Dens Road. And I was lucky enough, along with other members, to visit there just before Christmas. I'm looking at 3.3 where it says public health, social well-being. And the bottom one where it says any obligations that may prevent, restrict or otherwise affect the authority's ability to agree the request. I don't think I think there's always going to be a way that we could move, right? We could move this forward, or if we decide as a council and how long's a piece of string that we're going to develop that particular building into social housing or whatever. But how long is that going to take? And with a 12-month break, we could be looking at finding other properties for Men's Shed anyway. In fact, it's something that should be ongoing all the time. In fact, I've got so many yellow lines through the report, 4.3. Just looking at the bullet points there, but one that stands out for me: reducing isolation of men in the area, thus contributing to the physical and mental well-being. And I did enjoy George's comment, and keeps them out of the pub. But I think with COVID-19, this is something that's required even more so right now. 4.4, I was looking at the assessment model, and while it didn't score as high as 5.4, which was the council. It did say may provide best value, but careful judgment is required. And at 4.5, it says members may approve the application with conditions. And that's something that I would certainly say that can happen. In fact, Councillor Vaughan has come up with one, even though Councillor Duff is a little bit sceptical. It's something that we should be looking at. In the fact that we do not want to be seen to be losing the Men's Shed. They can't obviously purchase the building, and it was interesting reading the rental, which would normally be 6,000 per annum, which is totally unsustainable. But even though that's a discount from 8.6, and we were looking at 2,850. But listening to what they said, the work that they've done to actually help the council, I don't know how much that would have cost for cleaning drains. Probably quite a lot of it got in the drainage companies. They've insulated, they've stopped flooding. And the amount of projects involved in local projects keeps projects in schools. Yeah, they did the chicken coop. I saw that as well. And they're looking at their carbon footprint. I mean, has to be a way and a will here with the committee how we take this forward. They said that they've done something with the car park and maintained the car park. I think I could go on for forever here. And they're looking at a £500. I do think that is rather low, but I would suggest we may look at something that is just that they're going to be able to afford out of their coffee fund. And I did see them actually paying into the coffee their coffee fund. Going to 6, other factors to consider in reaching a decision on the application. 6.4, right to purchase, I've already said that's not competent. Looking at 7.2, it could be a negative financial impact for the council. If we retain it, no, it won't be, because after 12 months, and how long will planning take? So I don't see how it could be there could be a negative financial impact for the council. Looking at the option 7.3, I do agree that option 3 is the way forward here. The only thing that I would be looking at is what Councillor Vaughan said about the length of the lease. So they were not restricted in applying for other funds from external bodies. The 12-month break to me, and Jackie Buchanan has said it would seem that it's competent. And I would look, we do peppercorn rents for others. We are supposed to take them all on a basis, on a one-by-one basis. So I've been the rent from the 2.8 to something like £1,000. That's only a suggestion, folks. And that's my thoughts. My thoughts are option 3, looking at a 25-year lease with a 12-month break and reducing the rent to £1,000, thus sustaining the Arbroath Men's Shed and securing the council's position that they can take it back. Comments?
Convener, are you moving that as a formal motion, because we have councillors Devine, Moore and Duff wishing to speak at this point?
Right, councillors Moore,
Councillor Devine, Moore, Duff, Kwan.
Okay, can we start with Councillor Moore? This could be fun. If we can get. Okay, let's move on. Councillor Devine, we'll see if we can get Councillor Moore back.
Thank you, Convener. I'm a great supporter of men's sheds for all the reasons that you said and all the reasons in the application. A lot of them have had difficulty in finding a forever home, if you like. Quite a lot of them have had to move around different places, and that's certainly the case for Forfar, but they now have a place. I actually would be quite happy to support what you're suggesting there. I do think that 5 years is not long enough to get proper financing funding from grant organisations. And even 2,800 is quite a lot of money for people who don't have a great deal but are willing to contribute to society and the community as much as they're doing. So if that is your proposal, I would go with that. 25 years, £1,000 a year.
Thank you, Councillor Devine. Can we go to Councillor Duff?
Yeah, thanks, Convener. I mean, yes, I would certainly be agreeing that the men's sheds do a great job, I think, for all the reasons that Mr. Sinclair discussed in his presentation. I'm quite happy to go for a 25-year lease with a 1-year break clause. As I said earlier, I have doubts whether that would actually satisfy the funding bodies, but that's essentially the men's sheds problem, not our problem. I'm a little bit uncomfortable about negotiating down a sum which has come out of an officer recommendation during a meeting. I rather suggest we should defer this one. That would be my personal suggestion, but I'm willing to go with the majority. I do feel a bit uncomfortable negotiating the sum down on as part of a committee meeting, given that was what came through the recommendation from officers. And the score, clearly, the financial score would have been worse with 1,000 rather than whatever it was, £3,000. I feel uncomfortable doing that.
Okay, thanks for that, Councillor Duff. Councillor Vaughan, did you want to come back in?
Thanks, Leader. Just comments. Obviously, you've said it's comments now. I would just like to try and reiterate the position, and I totally agree with what you're suggesting. 25 years, year break, and £1,000 rent. I just think we've now got to look. We're a couple of months into this pandemic due to the COVID thing, and we really to look at what the volunteer groups have done to aid the council throughout this period. If it hadn't been for them, a lot of services that they've offered wouldn't have been offered by Angus Council, or it would have been more problematic for us to offer. And I really think we need to start looking at these kind of community volunteer groups and saying to them, you know, what is sustainable in rents, and you know, it maybe is time to look at the way we take money from them, because that's a huge drain on a community group. As you said earlier, they've got a coffee tin. Every time they take a coffee, they stick £1 in it or something like that. That's really how they raise money, and they sell little knickknacks now and again. It's a huge amount of money per year to do so. I would commend you, Leader, for that, and totally agree with you and second your motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vaughan.
Convener, could I come in just for a second, please?
Yes, you probably got to tell off, but
thank you. In light of the fact that you're changing the recommendations, Mr. Lorimer, as the author of the report, is joint author with myself, would like an opportunity, just a couple of words, as if that's appropriate for the committee.
Yes, that's fine.
Could Mr. Lorimer be unmuted, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, through you, Convener. Yeah, just to say a little bit about the 5 years versus 25 years, what our thought process was there was that it was unlikely that a decision one way or the other about the future of that building seemed to us as the officer group likely to be made within a 5 year period. So that was the thinking behind 25 years as opposed to the thinking behind 5 years as an offer rather than 25 years as had been asked for. I think the 1 year break clause is the key within that in terms of funding bodies, but that, as someone has already indicated, would be a matter for the men's shed to pursue. As for the rent, the rent that is, you know, we've judged that on the basis of what we think is reasonable relative to what the cost of running the building is. It is a building that costs quite a significant sum of money, so that's just to bear that in mind as the committee reaches its decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lorimer.
Convener, Councillor Moore is still indicating that he wished to speak.
Lovely, yes, right. Hopefully. Councillor Moore.
Councillor Moore indicated to me that he was not being unmuted, but if that's of assistance, but then he's on. I'm not quite sure how that works on the phone.
I'm seeing his microphone and it has been unmuted, so I'm not sure if it's a separate technical issue, Convener.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hallelujah. Convener, I'd like to make one point, and that is we're not getting anything for those units at the moment. So anything that we gave has got to be better. I'm concerned about the fact that it got to this state, but I would support a 25-year lease, but I would suggest that we should put a 5-year review in it. So if the men's shed can afford a bit more at the later date, then we can negotiate that.
Are you going to put an amendment to that?
Yeah. I will amend to say with a 5-year break, with 5-year review in it.
Is it interesting to speak? No. Okay, and that was a 25-year lease with the 12-month break. I understand what Mr. Lorimer says about the rent, and I'd like to thank the team that put the recommendations together. But again, it comes down to taking everything on its own merit, and the merit of this men's shed, I think, outweighs the fact that they certainly couldn't afford £2,850. So the amendment will contain that we go for a £1,000 per annum rent. So that's the motion.
Convener, before we go into the formal motions, I think Councillor Mr. Cochrane, apologies, would like to speak. And then if you don't mind, Convener, I will call out what I think is what you're moving, and then we'll clarify with Councillor Moore his amendment and whether he has a seconder to that amendment.
Okay, that's right. That's fine. Yeah, Mr. Cochrane.
Thank you, Convener. Just to advise that it is normal practice for a 5-year rent review in all of our property leases. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we add that to the motion, please?
Well, Convener, if you wish, I can call it the motion by you, seconded by Councillor Wan, is to agree option 3, but with a 25-year lease, with a mutual 12-month break, with a 5-year rent review, and to reduce the rent to £1,000 per annum.
That's yes. Happy with that.
I think, Convener, in light of what Mr. Cochrane has said, we just clarify with Councillor Moore his position.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm happy with the fact that there is a standard 5-year rent review.
I'm not understanding what Mr. Muir is saying. I think he's got back to labs.
Convener, I understand from what Councillor Moore is saying. He's happy with what he's heard from the officer in terms of the rent review.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's super. I know I do have a seconder. It was Councillor Vaughan.
Yes, Convener.
So there are no amendments.
No other members indicating that they have an amendment, Convener.
Okay, I'll move the motion as it stands then.
Agreed.
Can we unmute them so we can get an agreement?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Agreed. Super. Thank you very much, colleagues, for that one. Okay. Let's move on.
Convener, apologies. Could you just ensure that before we move on to the next part of the agenda, the representatives from the men's shed, they would have to leave the meeting, so we'll give them an opportunity to do so, or ask IT to remove them from the Zoom meeting, Convener.
Okay, if you can tell me when that's done. Thank you, Donald.
I would just ask Steve, can you confirm that's taken place?
Yep, we've left the meeting.
Thank you, convener.
Okay, we're okay to start. Okay, we'll go to agenda item number 4. It's the interim timetable of meetings. You've got the recommendations there. One agrees 2 notes, and that's right. 2 is right for the meetings of this committee and the scrutiny and audit committee in June. And 3 is right notes right again. Have we got any questions? Any comments? Is it agreed? Oh, Councillor Devine.
Councillor Devine and Councillor Duff, convener.
Okay, Councillor Devine first.
Yes, on page 9, the second paragraph there is talking about organising remote meetings and it being maybe the council's lacking in capacity here. I just wanted to know whether it was IT capacity or is it capacity to make up or to write reports for the different committees for communities, for children and learning, or is it just IT capacity that's lacking? I was going to say that we were getting better at this, but after today, I'm not so sure. Oh, and sorry, and then the last paragraph is talking about the fact that the improvement service is working on national guidance. Does anybody know when this is expected? Because it could be helpful to us to know that.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Devine. Jackie, would you be able to help here?
Yes, I'll be able to respond. In terms of what we're trying to do as a council at the moment, there's a huge amount of work in and around the COVID-19 pandemic, and daily that position changes for us. So we're in effect not able to do what we would call our normal business. So that's having a major impact. These meetings of their own require significant more prep, I would say, than the normal council meetings that we have, due into the fact that we are all remote. And you'll see, as you've just alluded to yourself, it is quite challenging at times to allow these meetings to go ahead. And if I think we went back to a full council, it would just be impossible, quite frankly, to do that effectively. It's not what we all want, but we're trying to do the best we can. I'm not sure if the Chief Executive would like to come in at this point too, because obviously she has an oversight in relation to the full council and the impact of what's happening that's having on us, not just at the committee side.
Amira, I'm happy to come in.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I would just really support what Mrs. Buchanan said there. You know, staff across the council are working considerably, and I know Councillor Devine knows that, around the COVID-19 response. And you know, we've been very good as a council to get up and running and have proper local governance of the things that are going on within the council. And what we have at the moment is probably as good as it can be. The Improvement Service have indicated that they're gathering practice throughout Scotland about what councils are doing in order for local members to be able to make decisions, and we will get some information back from them about best practice. I would suspect that we will be in there, given that we have tried very hard to involve as many people as possible and keep to good practice around having a special arrangements committee. Obviously, it's a changing situation, but that changing situation brings huge pressures to staff as well, as we work with new guidelines coming from Scottish Government in respect of the services that we deliver. So we'll keep that under review, but it is everything. It's digital, it's preparation of papers, it's the normal business that we're doing, and also the response and the recovery due to this coronavirus, COVID-19.
Thank you. Thank you, Margot. Is that helpful, Councillor Devine?
Yeah, I expect. I think I was expecting that response. It's just I think the wording wasn't terribly clear in that paragraph. That's all, really.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to Councillor Duff.
Yeah, thanks, convener. And I note the comments made by Mrs. Buchanan and by the Chief Executive. I think what I'm going to say, I think maybe articulating the views of many councillors who aren't on this committee, I think there's a great deal of frustration that they're not able to participate, and I think that's something we need to look at from the sort of democratic point of view. When we set up the Special Arrangements Committee, I guess most of us had the vision of this lasting maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months. And I think what's now becoming apparent with the social distancing and where we're likely to be, and the fact that our chamber really is not very suitable for a socially distanced group, is this could last quite a considerable period of time. And I wondered whether we need to start thinking, and I accept the points made about the amount of work in all the committees, but whether we could not morph the SAC back into a full council. I just feel that would allow people to participate, and I'm thinking if this goes on for longer than 6 months, I think that should be our aim. Now, that would be one committee once a month, let's say, or once a 6-week period. That would allow all councillors to participate. And I'm not suggesting we're ready to do that now, but perhaps after the summer recess, that should be our ambition.
Okay, point taken, Councillor Duff. It's certainly something to note. Okay, is there any further questions?
No other members indicated that, Convener.
Pardon?
No other members indicated that.
Lovely, thank you. And any comments on it?
None, Convener.
Okay, can we agree the recommendations? 1 is agrees, 2 is notes, and that's the committee, right? This committee and the scrutiny audit, and 3 is notes. Is that agreed? Hello?
Yes, agreed.
Lovely. I'll take that.
Agreed.
Right, thank you. Okay, we'll go on to agenda item 5. It's the review of governance arrangements. You've got the recommendations right there. 1 agrees that the short life member officer group be established, right, to review the current governance arrangements, including the council standing orders, order of reference of committees, and the scheme of delegation to officers. 2 agrees the member officer group membership be made up of 6 elected members, 3 administration, 2 SNP, 1 independent. Appoints a chair of the member officer group. 4 delegates authority to the legal democratic services to identify the most appropriate officers who will work with the member officer group. And 5 notes that the outcome of the review will be reported back to full council for consideration. Okay, right. Any questions on this?
Councillor Duff and Councillor Devine are indicating they wish to speak, Convener.
Okay, Councillor Duff first.
Well, it was more of a comment rather than a question. Obviously, really just to welcome the fact that we are now going to have this member officer group, because from recollection, this was proposed at the January council meeting and got cancelled at very short notice. So very pleased to see that that members from across the political spectrum are going to be able to participate in reforming the standing orders.
Thank you, Councillor Duff. Councillor Devine.
Well, I was just going to give our SNP members' names.
Yeah, that's fine.
That would be Councillor Sheila Hans and Councillor Alec King. There is a bit of a problem. I understand that it was going to be done by Skype, but the package that Councillor Hans has doesn't support Skype. We have Skype meetings, group meetings, and she has to phone in. But I think for something like this, it would be better if some other platform was used, which I'm sure is possible. I would also like to propose Councillor Boyd as the independent councillor on this, seeing as there's no independence on this committee.
Can I just say that class as an independent would be Councillor Moore, because he's out with the administration and the opposition. So I have checked this with Jackie Buchanan. Jackie, right, perhaps you want to come in, but I'll be nominating Councillor Moore.
Convener, it clearly says an independent. Councillor Moore was at pains to tell me at the last meeting that he was a Liberal Democrat. He is not an independent
group, Councillor Devine, a member of the administration. Jackie, can you confirm that I'm correct here?
Yes, that's correct. Councillor Moore is not a member of the administration and therefore is regarded as an independent.
Thank you. I will be right. So I will. I'm quite happy. I will be moving Councillor Moore for the chair. First of all, I'll give the three names from the administration group. The administration group will be Mark Salmond, Councillor Salmond, Councillor Ron Sturrock, and Councillor Ian McLaren. And I will move that Councillor Moore is the chair. Is there an amendment, Councillor Devine?
Councillor Devine has moved an amendment that Councillor Boyd be appointed as the other member, to the independent member, and that requires a seconder before we would go to the vote, convener.
Okay, thank you.
Convener, I'm quite happy to second Councillor Devine. However, I would state as part of that is that I do not believe it is the responsibility of the SNP group to nominate a representative of the independent councillors. And I would have thought that is a matter for the independent councillors. And I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, this way, the administration could choose the representatives of the SNP group. And I don't think it should be done this way, but I'm quite happy to second Councillor Devine with that proviso.
Okay, right, well, it is in the recommendation, appoints a chair, and that's what we're doing today, Councillor Duff.
Convener, Councillor Macmillan Douglas wishes to speak at this moment.
Councillor Macmillan Douglas.
Yeah, thanks, convener. I was just coming in to second your motion because quite clearly Councillor Moore is independent within this context, and therefore I'm very happy to second your motion.
Thank you. Okay, can we just go to the vote, please?
Yes, convener, just prior to do that, can I ask IT to unmute members of the committee so they can vote in order? And also they can unmute Fiona Anderson, clerking and taking the minute, and she will be taking the vote. So, convener, the motion is in your name, seconded by Councillor Macmillan Douglas, that Councillor Moore be appointed to the member officer group. The amendment by Councillor Devine, seconded by Councillor Duff, is that Councillor Boyd be appointed to the member officer group. Members should vote for motion, which is Councillor Moore, or amendment, which is Councillor Boyd.
Okay. Convener, motion amendment.
Motion.
Councillor Lynn Devine.
No vote.
Councillor Duff.
No vote.
Councillor Macmillan Douglas.
Motion.
Councillor Moore.
No vote.
Honestly.
Councillor Salmond.
Motion.
And Councillor Wan.
Motion.
So that's 4 for the motion and 3 non-votes, and none for the amendment.
Thank you. That'll be agreed. Okay, we'll move on to item number 6.
Convener, could I just clarify? We have only voted on the 5th place. We now have an motion in your names moving Councillor Moore as chair. So unless there's amendment to that, then Councillor Moore would be appointed as chair, but we need to have that confirmed by the committee.
Okay, can we confirm that Councillor Moore is the chair?
Agreed.
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 I would like to record my dissent.
Convener, could I propose that Councillor Devine was the chair?
Pardon?
Could I propose Councillor Devine as the chair?
We've already agreed. Who's the chair?
Have we?
Convener, no. There is two separate votes. First of all is to fill the membership, and the second is to appoint a chair from within the appointed membership. We have agreed the membership, Councillor Devine, is a member of the MOG and is eligible to be put forward as the chair.
I'm not on the MOG.
No, she's not on the MOG.
Could I propose Councillor King then as chair?
Okay. Because you do be going through this all day.
Yes.
Yes, we need a seconder for Councillor Duff's motion, Councillor Duff's amendment.
I'll second that.
Convener, we have a motion by you, and we need a seconder.
I'll second that, Leader.
Thank you.
Okay, Convener, the motion by yourself, seconded by Councillor Wan, is that Councillor Moore is appointed chair of the MOG. The amendment by Councillor Duff, seconded by Councillor Green, is that Councillor King be appointed chair of the MOG. Again, Convener, can you vote motion, which is Councillor Moore, and amendment is Councillor King, and Fiona Anderson will do the roll call again.
Thank you.
Okay, the convener, motion or amendment?
Motion.
Councillor Devine?
Amendment.
Councillor Duff?
Amendment.
Councillor Macmillan Douglas?
Motion.
Councillor Moore?
No vote.
Councillor Salmond?
Motion.
And Councillor Wan?
Motion.
That's 4 for the motion and 2 for the amendment. Therefore, Councillor Moore has been voted as chair of the group.
Please record my dissent.
Thank you. Donald, do I have to go through all the other recommendations? Or is this
formally to agree the rest, Convener? Yes, please.
Can we agree the rest of the recommendations, please?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, we'll move on to number 6. Before we start number 6, can I just say that it is the administration's intention to bring forward a motion to thank all our staff, and the best way to do that, and we will confirm it either at the next Special Arrangements Committee or, God willing, the Policy and Right Resources Committee. And I just say as well that I'd like to thank the Chief Executive and the Director of Finance for this report and the work that has had to go in due to COVID-19. You've got the recommendations in front of you. Are there any questions? No questions. Before I go into comments, would perhaps the Chief Executive make anything?
Yeah, Convener, I'm happy to speak. As I said earlier, this is a really challenging time for us all, and I would draw members' attention really to paragraph 4.3. It's hard to believe in some ways that, you know, in February we agreed our council plan and our workforce plan and our finance and change plan, and suddenly we're in a very, very different situation than any of us could possibly have imagined. So I want to give members assurance that the strategic team, the corporate leadership team, and the broader managers within the council are working really hard on what the council is doing at the moment, but also looking to match the response to the recovery approach that the council will take. And we want to do that in a way that members already are familiar with. So we will be looking at people, place, economy, and us as a business. And that's a framework that we've used for a few years now as a council, and it's serving us well. And when we're in a position to do so, we'll bring back future thinking about how we think we can take these things forward. So I really wanted just to say a huge thanks to all the staff and to members who've been very supportive of us through this difficult time. And I know that the compliments from Angus residents have far outweighed our complaints, and that's a lovely place for us all to be, including yourselves as representatives of your communities. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Williamson. Okay, we'll go on to comments. I know that Councillor AMD wishes to make a comment on this.
As does Councillor Duff, convener.
Councillor Duff, lovely, thank you. Right, we'll go to Councillor Angus McMillan Douglas first, please.
Okay, thank you very much, convener. My electronic communications have worked thanks to a 1-second intervention by my daughter. I just wanted to say that this was an excellent paper, providing a financial context within which all other decisions can be taken. It shows how Angus Council acted quickly at the start of this emergency to assist citizens in acute need. But these actions, absolutely correct, have obviously added to our costs. Further substantial costs have arisen through, for example, Angus Health and Social Care Partnership, and Tayside Contracts is still unclear about whether it can furlough its staff. And there are further potential costs. The estimates clearly laid out in this paper are only until June 2020. The speed with which national and local economies are permitted to recover will hugely affect the extent of further additional costs through the rest of this financial year. The paper estimates additional expenditure and lost income amounting to between £4 and £6 million to the end of next month. That is a substantial amount. It may be reduced by some government funding, but this does present a huge and ongoing challenge. And government grants, as the paper says, are very unlikely to cover all our additional costs. But there is also some good news. Angus Council went into this emergency in a much stronger position financially than many councils because of the actions that we have taken. Secondly, the simply massive cash injection by the UK government has probably averted an economic catastrophe. In Scotland alone, this has amounted to 155 million for local authorities, 3.4 billion for more general additional costs, additional money for charities, and Scotland's share of the eye-watering 330 billion, 15% of GDP, to pay for furloughing and other employment protection schemes. Angus Council has acted quickly to formulate an Angus Economic Recovery Programme, the first meeting with officers which took place last week. And we will do what we can to protect businesses and jobs in our local community. Finally, the paper clearly outlines that we shall have to reconsider our council plan and budget through this summer. This means that we will work through the summer recess to ensure this is done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Roland Douglas. Councillor Duff.
Yeah, thanks, convener. Yes, and I would agree with Councillor McMillan Douglas. I think it is a very good report, and I think the council officers at all levels have been doing a huge amount of work, and the financial consequences will obviously be very serious and significant for quite some time. Councillor McMillan Douglas mentions the support from UK government. It's probably worth bearing in mind that that money is all being borrowed, and as taxpayers we're all going to have to repay it. So absolutely necessary, but it's not a gift from down south. It's something that's been borrowed and will have to be paid back. I'm conscious that we had a budget, and it seems like years ago we got there was some additional funding from Scottish Government after the budget. We have never actually had a chance to sit and discuss that. But yes, I mean, this paper talks about 4 to 6 million additional costs to June, and you know, we may well be going for longer than that. And clearly the whole budget and the council plan will need to be reviewed, and certainly the SNP group will be very keen to participate in that. I noted the comments made by the finance spokesperson about Tayside Contracts, and I think I had a question here, but I think he's answered that one for me. So that'd be a comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Duff. Okay, I'm just going to move the paper and the recommendations. The recommendations are 1 note, 2 note, 3 review and scrutinise, 4 note and 5 note. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to item number 7, that's support arrangements for key suppliers, and the report by the Director of Finance. You've got the recommendations in front of you. Is there any comments?
Councillor Macmillan Douglas, convener.
Councillor Macmillan Douglas.
Thank you very much, convener. Again, I wanted to welcome this paper. The initial Angus Council plan to support people, businesses and key suppliers in light of the emergency was brought to Angus Council on the 3rd of April. We agreed there to delegate responsibility to the Director of Finance to design a key supplier support scheme based on national guidance and local requirements. We are asked here to note the objective and risk of these detailed arrangements and note the intention to keep the arrangements under regular review. It is possible to debate whether it is right for taxpayers' money to be used to prop up private businesses. But these are unprecedented circumstances, and we would, I think, be unreasonable in assuming our contractors should have insured against a pandemic. Also, this scheme is about Angus Council's self-interest. If we do not have most of our key suppliers still in existence at the end of this emergency, we shall find it hard for the Council to continue to deliver the services on which our citizens rely. The paper states that whilst it is not possible to assess fully the financial implications of the arrangements for so far as Angus Council is concerned, expectation is that most of the expenditure will be met from existing budgets. However, there are risks, and it's right, I think, to draw attention to these risks. For example, Angus Council might support a supplier who receives our money, but even then has to put their company into liquidation. My colleagues may wish to speak on this. The paper assures us that everything possible will be done to try and avoid this. The paper does assure us that a key supplier is required to access a government scheme finances where they're eligible to do this, so that becomes their primary support route before approaching Angus Council. That is a question that we had raised with officers, and I'm very pleased to see that assurance there. The paper also reminds us that one of Angus Council's early actions as this terrible emergency unfolded was to commit to pay our suppliers as early as possible to assist their cash flow. This is important, and we can be proud that we committed to do this so early. This paper, as people have said, has involved the Director of Finance, the Chief Executive and senior officers working with the Scottish Government, COSLA and other local authorities to ensure we have a sound policy in line with both government and other local authorities. There are risks, as the paper makes clear, and I have noted above, but I think this is an excellent paper and I hope we will all support it. Thank you.
For Angus Macmillan Douglas, I'm glad that wasn't the question. I take it that was your comment. Thank you for that. Can I go? Is there any questions, or did you want just to go to comments? Any other comments?
Councillors Duff, Wan and Moore have got their hands up, convener.
Is this comments or questions?
Well, I've got a small technical question, and I have just a brief comment. So you can take them whichever order you like.
Just do them. Yeah, just do them as you wish.
Okay, thanks, convener. Yeah, I just really would agree with Councillor Macmillan Douglas. Very happy to see us supporting our suppliers, and particularly our local suppliers. I'd like to thank the Director of Finance for his fast action in proposing remedies to pay suppliers quickly and to take up these measures. The question I had related to page 29, and I just wanted to double check if the third bullet point was correct. we wondered whether there was a not missing in that, the word NOT in it. It was about the £10,000 grant for ratepayers of businesses, and if somebody could just double check that actually reads correct, because we weren't sure that it did.
Somebody check that. I've got that. Where is it, Councillor Duff?
It's on page 29 under Scotland level support, and it's the third bullet point where it references the A10K grant. It just
I'm just not.
yeah, we just wondered if there should be a but not in receipt of nursery receipt disabled. We weren't sure if that read correctly. That was just. I'm not asking for an answer now, but if somebody could just double check that.
Convener, it's Ian Lorimer here. I'll check that out on Councillor Duff's behalf. The scheme has changed a number of times as we've gone along in recent weeks, so the eligibility criteria have changed, so we can update the policy on that basis.
Okay, thank you. Where's Councillor Wands next?
Thank you, Leader. Mind you, just a comment. I would just like to say that, yes, I agree with the paper, but I would like to just divert everybody's attention again to comment 5 under 7 point, and 3, the risk part, where it says that this could become affordable to the council should the COVID epidemic last longer than we're anticipating. It's just something that Bill Duff, Councillor Duff had mentioned earlier. This money that we've received from the UK government and then through the Scottish government isn't free money. It all has to be paid back in the future. And it really is something that I support, because we've got the Economic Recovery Group looking at how we can help our local suppliers. So yes, I welcome this, but obviously that risk has to be pointed out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Vaughan. Is it Councillor Moore next? Donald, was it Councillor Moore next?
Sorry, Convener. Yes, it is Councillor Moore. I was just waiting for him to be unmuted. Yes.
All right, super.
I think he's speaking, but nobody's hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Councillor Moore, are you there? Can anybody help here?
We go to Councillors Devine and Duff. Convener, maybe Councillor Moore will be able to establish a connection after that.
It's Councillor Devine.
Yeah, we keep on hearing about this economic development group, Convener, and I mean, I don't know how this is going to work because we weren't invited to join it. Are there going to be reports to this committee on how it's progressing, or I think we need a bit of transparency about this. I know that it's an administration thing, but and you're going to be asking for advice from officers, but I do feel that there needs to be some element of scrutiny about this, and at least if we're not allowed to give our ideas to it, at least we could be debating it here.
Councillor Devine, as I said in my courtesy call, I will keep you up to date with it. It is an administration group, and I will keep you up to date with right where we're going with it.
I would like my comments minuted, actually.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, have we got Councillor Moore back? No.
Convener, he's shown as being present in the lobby, in the meeting, so I'm unsure in terms of IT if they're able to resolve this issue, but he is showing up as being present here.
can only suggest that he leaves the meeting and tries to join again.
Yeah, right. Can we try that? Can we give him just 2 or 3 minutes just to try and do that, please?
Hello, is that Councillor Moore? Hello, Councillor Moore.
Hello, Jackie.
Yes, do you want to speak? I'll just put you to my speaker and you can speak through that.
Yeah, if you would, please.
I have Councillor Moore here, Councillor Fairweather.
Hello, Richard. On you go.
Hello, convener. On the report, I just want to comment on point 713D, about the in due course officers expect it to be possible to do data matching. Saying it's not certain, but I just want clarification that the officers will be lobbying for this, because it will be public funds, and I think that we have to do everything we can to ensure that we're not getting ripped off.
Okay, thank you. Perhaps Mr. Lorimer can help.
Thank you, convener. Yeah, we'll be pressing for that to happen if at all possible. It's quite likely that will happen, not just for Angus Council, but across a whole range of COVID-related support mechanisms. So we would expect that to happen, but it's not within our gift to make it happen. So that's why we've put it in the report as something that may happen.
Thank you. Okay, happy with that, Councillor Moore?
Yeah, thank you.
Right. Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll just be moving the recommendations as they are. 1 notes, 2 notes, like the rest, and 3 note the intention. Is that agreed?
Councillor Duff's indicating he wishes to speak, convener.
Oh, Councillor Duff, on you go.
Yeah, sorry, I had my hand up for some time digitally. It was really just to come back to Councillor Devine's question, and I'm still a little bit puzzled. Is the Economic Recovery Group, is that an official council body or not? Because we were not absolutely clear. Clearly, if it's an official body, it will be supported by officers and there'll be some minuting and dissemination of those minutes. We didn't even know that it was being set up, so that's why we had some questions whether it was actually a bona fide body or not.
No, it's not. It's an administration. It's just the administration, Councillor Duff.
So it's not an official council body.
No.
Right, thank you. That clarifies it.
Lovely, thank you. Okay, right. Back to what I said. Is the report number 7 agreed?
Agreed.
Okay, we'll go to number 8, and can I just give notice that I will be moving an amendment on this one. So number 8 is the money feed for Resource Centre Group update and funding considerations. You've got the recommendations in front of you. Are there any questions?
Yeah.
Councillor Devine.
It's a very small thing, but in the title it does say Community Resource Centre Group, but it's actually called the Moneyfeith Community Resource Group, which it states in the abstract. So it's just a little thing there. I welcome this. I think it's a great thing for Moneyfeith. I was just wondering at 4.2 if there has been any update on financing or funding for this. I know they had a few applications in. I was just wondering if some of them have come through. And also, are they considering crowdfunding, which seems quite a good thing to do when it is a community organisation?
Okay, thanks, Councillor Devine. Mr. Lorimer, can you help here?
Yeah, thank you, convener. Yeah, not to my knowledge, Councillor Devine, in terms of an update, but I do know that the group had quite a number of applications in with funding bodies. I suspect those decisions have been affected by funding bodies being able to meet and convene and do all the things under the virus lockdown. I am aware there is a fairly significant pledge that's been made, subject to the rest of the funding being secured, but none of that is in the public domain at this stage. In terms of crowdfunding, I guess that would be one that would be an option for the group that they would no doubt wish to look at, possibly as the final part of the package to secure the full funding package.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Lorimer. Does that suffice? Yes. Okay, is there any further questions?
No other members are indicating they wish to speak, Convener.
Pardon? No other?
No members.
No comments either? Okay, right, we as a group had looked at this, and a question came up about peppercorn rents, etc. So I would like to add a further recommendation, and hopefully we'll all agree. I'll read that out. So it would be recommendation 5. A further report be brought by the Director of Infrastructure outlining current peppercorn rents, what benefit they bring for the community and council, and review options as to policy on rents for all future considerations.
Councillor Thayer, can I come in for a moment?
Yes.
I think that's a fine recommendation. What I don't know is how long that will take to get back to you. I don't know how complicated or complex that is, so it's maybe worth asking the Director of Infrastructure to come in and give some indication around that.
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
Switch the camera off. I'm not wanting to see naked bodies going about.
Oh, you're joking.
Convener, Councillor, it's Mr. Cochrane, if he's available.
Mr. Cochrane's not been unmuted.
No.
Sorry, how's that?
Here we go.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Convener. Yes, we can certainly have a look at this. We can get the information out of our rental database. And can I suggest that we come back, obviously after the recess, but perhaps a little bit later in the autumn?
Yes, I'd be happy with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, Mr. Lorimer, as author of the report, would like to say something, please.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you, Convener. I should have mentioned this when I was speaking earlier. It was really just to clarify in relation to the consideration of the peppercorn rent and the committee's view of that. The council is, as members will be aware, under an obligation to achieve best value. But in relation to the disposal of land and buildings, that disposal can be at less than what's called best consideration, providing it meets 2 tests. Those tests are that it's carried out, we've carried out an appraisal to consider the financial implications, benefits and disbenefits of the disposal, and that the disposal is reasonable and likely to contribute to the promotion of or improvement of economic development, regeneration, health and social well-being and environmental well-being. And it was really just to say we've done all of that in this case, so that if the committee were minded to support the group's request for a peppercorn rent, we would be competent to do that. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Lorimer. Okay, I'll still be moving obviously with the extra recommendation. Do I have a seconder for that?
Yes, you do, Councillor Macmillan Douglas.
Okay, right. I should have said, are there any further comments? And right, are we happy to agree with the further recommendation?
Agreed.
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 Okay, thank you. So I'll move the recommendation. I'll move the recommendations there, and that is 1 notes, 2 confirms, 3 agree, and 4 consider, and 5 will let a further report to be brought by the Director of Infrastructure. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to item 9. That's surplus property, land at Marine Avenue, Montrose. You've got the recommendations in front of you. Any questions?
Councillor Devine indicates he, sorry, Councillor Duff it is, wishing to speak.
Okay, Councillor Duff.
Yeah, Convener, obviously I knew about this. I'm very happy that this goes out to consultation, and we've discussed it with Mr. Cochrane already. The only point I'd like to make is it's quite a bad junction, and I would like our road staff to have a look at the junction so that we can try to make it as safe as possible. It's a very tight junction, and I would like that given consideration as part of the process.
Mr. Cochrane, do you want to come in on that?
Thank you, Convener. I think my comment would be that this has already gone through planning. So my understanding is that planning permission has already taken into account the road safety issues.
Okay, happy with that, Councillor Duff?
Well, up to a point. I mean, I mean, we don't quite know what will happen to this land once we lose control over it. So that would just be my concern. I mean, well, I guess that would be a planning issue as well. But that was my one concern. But yeah, I'm quite happy it goes out to consultation.
Okay, thanks for that, Councillor Duff. Any further questions or comments? No. Just go with the recommendation. 1 agree, 2 subject to the results of the consultation, and 3 subject to agreement by Hillcrest Housing Association. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you. Item 10 is the U329 Woodside Road lift amendments to existing speed limits. You've got the recommendations. Any questions?
Councillors Devine and Duff are indicating they wish to speak on this item, Convener.
Councillor Devine first.
Councillor Devine, yes.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. Sorry, I'm on the wrong one. I'm going to speak on 11.
No worries. No worries. Councillor Duff, did you want to speak on it?
Yeah, really just to welcome it. I know local members were keen to see this coming forward. There was one point raised, which was there was a request, I guess, to extend the 30-mile-an-hour zone to include the school, and there was to be a site meeting, I think, with roads officers on that one. Obviously, because of the emergency, that hasn't taken place. So happy to see it extended, but would like a commitment that the issue of the road or the junction to the school is looked at some point in the future when that's possible.
Okay. Mr. Cochrane, do you want to come in on that? No.
If I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, just getting all unmuted. Yes, absolutely, Councillor Duff, no problem with that. As you say, we've been unable to progress certain matters, but once we have restrictions lifted, we will do.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? No? Okay, you've got the recommendations. 1 notes, 2 notes, and 3 agrees. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Number 11, Russell Street and West High Street Forfar on-street parking. You've got the recommendations. Any questions?
Councillors Devine and Moore wish to speak on this item, Convener.
Councillor Devine first.
It's not a question, Convener. I just want to absolutely welcome this. It's been quite a long time coming, and I think it'll help tremendously on Castle Street. I welcome the fact that it's going out to public consultation, and obviously as soon as possible, but given the circumstances, we may have to wait a while again for that.
Thanks, Councillor Devine. Councillor Moore?
You hear me, convener?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I think this is fantastic. I really do. I welcome it. The only question I've got is, shortly after I was elected in 2017, I inquired on behalf of a couple of businesses about the parking between Canmore Street and Manor Street, and whether we could put bays on the Golden Dragon side. And I was told that we couldn't because of road safety. And my question is, can the officers please tell me what's changed?
Mr. Cochrane, do you want to come in?
Thank you again, convener. Thank you, Councillor Moore. As Councillor Devine has said, this has actually been some long considerations around this in terms of the arrangement. So we have reviewed with the local members in terms of the options around this, and that's why this has come forward now.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about the road safety aspect. If it was unsafe in 2017, why is it safe now?
Well, as I say, we've reviewed our consideration of the parking in Castle Street.
Right.
And the proposal here is to go to consultation, and we'll see if there's anything coming out of that. But in conjunction with our colleagues in the traffic coord, we're content that it's now feasible.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
That's
Cochrane.
fantastic news.
Okay, any further comments? No. Okay, you see the recommendation: 1 notes, 2 notes, 3 notes, 4 agreed, and 5 notes. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, number 12. I think a good news story here. The lighting partnership. You've got the recommendations in front of you. Are there any questions? No. Any comments?
Councillor Devine wishes to speak, convener.
Councillor Devine?
Yeah, it is a question, convener. It's on page 60 where we've got the diagram here. I was just wondering, because I wasn't on infrastructure services, I was wondering who is on the executive board from our council, and also are we making progress in finding somebody to fill that vacancy for Angus Council at the next level down?
I don't know. Can somebody help me here? Looks like nobody's going to help me, Councillor Devine.
You're on your own.
You can let me know later.
Mr. Cochrane would be the officer.
Yes, convener. I do need to identify the officer before we can unmute him, so that would be Mr. Cochrane.
Mr. Cochrane, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, convener. Yes, me again. And in terms of the council's representation on the executive board, that is indeed myself, along with my compatriots in Perth, Kinross and Dundee. In terms of the vacancy, I will have to answer you later, councillor, if I may.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, right. Any further questions, comments? No, we've got the recommendation. 1 approves and 2 authorises Director of Infrastructure. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Number 13 we've dealt with. Number 14 is deferred. So number 15 is the possible exclusion of public interest. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed.
And members to leave for a Zoom meeting and rejoin using the Skype invite. So around about 5 minutes.
Okay.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.